If you've ever had a particular vision or dream for your life that you have put a lot of sweat equity, time, your commitment, and you find yourself almost losing your identity in the process of this vision or goal. And oftentimes we do that because it is an attempt to escape a particular pain, escape a reality that you don't want to be in. And so by looking in this one direction will allow you to have this potential to create a different outcome for your life. I know that from personal experience, as I've lost myself in a particular endeavor and I put my heart and soul into it simply because it was a form of escape. I wanted to change a reality that I didn't enjoy, and I had to lose myself in it. Now, it did progress me far. I did get to a good place. But what I found was that one day I woke up and I didn't want to do it anymore. And when that day came, I'll tell you, it was devastating. Absolutely devastating. It broke me emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I was left in a space of identity loss. A place where I didn't know who I was, what I was going to be, and all of that stemmed from a particular pain that I've had for a long time that I wanted to escape. And I thought, in this direction, if I go here, if I put 100% of my effort into this, it'll change it. And it didn't change it. And so I felt myself a failure. Air quotes, failure. But in reality, as time has gone on, the failures that you've had, failures, are nothing more. They're nothing more than just a stepping stone towards a different, more meaningful direction in your life. It's very hard to see it that way in the moment. It almost feels impossible. But I will assure you it is. Because understand that the world and the universe functions in a very interesting way. And you can recall in your own life that when you look around or you reflect on your own journeys that you've had in the past, have they not seemed coincidental? Like they happened on purpose, good or bad, that they played out the way they had to play out. And oftentimes the more you worried and the more concerned you were, didn't change a thing. It either ended up being better than what you thought. And that's a very, very common experience. And so when you experience heavy loss, heavy failure of identity, you lost your identity, the first and most important thing is you do not want to just jump into the next thing, into the next idea, because you haven't figured out the root issue and the root pain of what you're experiencing. And that root pain, unless healed, is a continuous open wound. It is a self-protection mechanism. You have within you your ego, which is your performer, what you present to the world. And then you have your soul. Your soul is your child self. And by that I mean the spirit that you inhabited when you were a child. You didn't have much of an ego back then, because you were still in development. But you had a particular spirit about the world and being adventurous and didn't care about falling over or anything like that. And so you're encompassing those two elements. And as time goes on, Your objective is to integrate those two things, your ego and the soul. And so by allowing yourself to pause, be a nobody, lose yourself a little bit. And again, by that I mean, so when you don't jump into the next endeavor, you give yourself that space. You give yourself that opportunity to just exist and just be. Don't try to be anything. Don't try to do anything. Allow yourself to experience that moment. Because if you experience that moment long enough, you will feel uncomfortable emotion, unsettling emotion. And the natural protection mechanism of the soul is to hide it away. It can either fragment, it can suppress, or it can warp. It can warp the memory. And you want to allow it to play its course while breathing through it. And the more you do that, eventually you'll come a place where you'll begin to accept the situation. You will accept the reality that there's some pain you're dealing with, and that this next thing you jump into is not going to do it. It's not going to solve it. And as you create this unifying experience between ego and soul, a healthy communication, you will know instantly what you're supposed to do. You will know where to go, what to do, how to do it, and you will no longer see failures as failures. You will not. You will just begin to see them as simply obstacles, challenges, puzzles. Because no longer does what you're doing feel an escape that you have to achieve, or else life is over. But it's not. It is not over. Give yourself that opportunity. Be a nobody. Give yourself the space. Give yourself the space to integrate the soul and the ego. And as you begin to integrate, you will immediately feel a strong calling. Almost as if you're being rewarded for seeing all the sides of your inner world. And then things will be clear. And when things are clear, you will have endless energy, endless ambition. Your excitement will come back. Colors will be bright. And outcome becomes something that you realize has only created anxiety, urgency, stress. Don't fall victim to the current world narrative. I fell victim to that for a long time. That you have to be stressed. You have to be anxious. Otherwise you feel it won't work out. How could you be relaxed and do what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to be stressed. But that is wrong. Because even if it were true, is that really how you want to live? Do you really want to live 20 years in heavy stress and anxiety? The feeling that something's going to go wrong all the time? No. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So give yourself that opportunity. Give yourself the breathing room. And then come back, integrate it. It's with integration that you'll be stronger. Stronger than you ever thought.